Oh, welcome in. It's Mikey P. Mike Pendleton here, sitting in for the Coach and Company podcast. A lot of big things happening in the world of sports. In the first week of November, college basketball has tipped off, college football playoff rankings are here, but it's a Thursday and it's Thursday night football. So to help me talk about it, our numbers guy for a reason, Rafael Esparza. Rafael, how are you, sir?
I am doing well. It's a great Thursday. We have some Thursday night football, one NBA play, a whole bunch of hockey plays. We still have college football when we do the pop up show. So we should have a fun evening tonight.
Yeah, we definitely should have a very fun and eventful evening. We've had a very fun and eventful morning, and we'll just start right there. Our first topic of the podcast: ESPN Bet is no longer, and ESPN has quickly announced a new partnership with DraftKings starting on December 1st, while Penn Gaming will now rebrand and relaunch on December 1st as ScoreBet. A lot of moving parts here. Let's kind of talk about what went wrong in your perspective with ESPN Bet.
Yeah, for my world, the 15, 20 minutes went like this. ESPN bet will close effective December 1st. Penn to launch Score Bet on December 1st. DraftKings is now the official sports book of ESPN. They were in bed before, so there's nothing new on that one. I thought that was probably smart. I really thought it was going to be FanDuel, but I guess they went with DraftKings. And then the biggest loser has to be Penn. They have lost $1 billion with the deal with ESPN. I mean, everything Penn touches just turns into black roses. So I don't want nothing to do with them. I feel bad for them. I knew a guy that used to work there. He said the management was really good, but they just didn't know how to run the business. So I really feel bad for the Penn employees and stuff like that. But what a weird 15 to 20 minute span of just news popping, boom, 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 boom. So it shouldn't change a lot. I think ESPN people are going to think, oh, what about all the talent ESPN has? Well, they're just going to say DraftKings instead of ESPN Bet. They may have to change the colors of their screens to green and black instead of the little bluish stuff like that. So I don't think too much is going to change. I think this opens up a lot of talk down the road. I still think, and I've been saying this, I would not shock me 5 to 7 years down the road, FanDuel and DraftKings merge. It would not shock me that we only have 5 legitimate books in the United States. And that's where it's that today is that trend that's showing.
That would be quite interesting for sure. And the thing that gets me though is now we're gonna have DraftKings, and I would never take shots at anybody, Raphael, but we're gonna have DraftKings with Dave Portnoy's parlays and Stephen A. Smith's parlays. So I do want to ask you another part of it because we could talk about the ins and outs of the move itself, but DraftKings again, and I know how you feel about 5 years from now, but right now with ESPN going to DraftKings over FanDuel, is there any significance there in your mind?
I think for if you had an ESPN Bet app and you were that was maybe your only book, now you're going to get better numbers because ESPN Bet always had the worst numbers because they never were getting the action that needed to get the best number or move the number. They were getting very stagnant lines because they were late to the party when it came to sports gambling. They were the last pretty much entity to open up an app and be an app, and everyone else was already at DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, Caesars. They already were there, and then the ESPN just popped up and said, "Hey, we're here," and then no one went there. So I think for the ESPN Bet bettors, I think they're gonna like the opportunity of what DraftKings offers them than what ESPN offer them. So for those bettors, you're probably having a great day today.
And then let's look at the other side because I think we have to look at. Let's try to put a positive spin on Penn Gaming, right? Going into Score Bet, what do you expect? I know Score is a Canadian-based sports, network, and now they're going to come to the states. What, if anything, do you have any expectations for Score Bet?
Score about well, first of all, Canadian they only have a couple places to place bets. It's not the whole country of Canada that you can. I think they're going to add more spots where you can bet in Canada, and I think it wouldn't shock me that Score Bet will be their launch over there. So if they can get the Canadian money to come in and then dabble more on U.S. money, I think that would the only thing that can save them. If not, it wouldn't be shocked that we're having this conversation a year from now that Penn Gaming is no longer with Score Bet and they're trying to get with the coaching company gaming license.
Well, yeah, I mean, their track record right now. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but with Penn's track record right
Yeah,
now,
we would want it.
I don't know how we feel about that. But going back to the ESPN decision, what we don't know what was on the table, right? And it almost appeared like a very bad affair, right? They came out, they said, "Hey, we split." 20 minutes later, they're in a relationship with DraftKings. Do you think there was any reason for ESPN choosing DraftKings over FanDuel? Do you think it just came down to money and partnership? How do you think that side of it came out?
I mean, they already had a partnership with them before, so I think it's just familiarized. Okay, we've been there. So they probably still just all they had to do was flip a switch, and they were ready to go. I know FanDuel and PFL they were all in the ESPN together, so just there's that link as well. But I just think it had to be DraftKings, just to makes it a little bit more sense for that one. So it didn't shock me. It was either going to be one or the other. I would have been blown away if I read BetMGM bought ESPN or Caesars bought ESPN or something like that. It had to be one FanDuel or DraftKings.
Well, I get more excited now because I would hope that means more Kevin Hart commercials. I'm just saying, I love a Kevin Hart DraftKings commercial. I think when it comes to the advertising and the marketing, I'm definitely a bigger fan of DraftKings than I am of FanDuel. Lastly, on this topic, when we look at what this means for ESPN, you mentioned the shows and the talent. Nothing's really going to change except maybe the color scheme of everything. But when you look at what ESPN and DraftKings could do, because in their own right, to their respect, DraftKings is a monster. FanDuel, they're a monster. But when you put DraftKings and ESPN together, do you think we'll see anything unique as they tried to do with ESPN Bet?
Well, DraftKings does have their own shows and stuff like that. So I think we'll see maybe crossovers or maybe DraftKings, when mergers happen, someone's employees goes because they bring other employees. I've been there many times when I worked at casinos when Mirage bought MGM and we had a merger. Some people got fired, some people had to stay. We could see that. Maybe they use more DraftKings employees than ESPN employees. It's going to be very interesting to see if they merge or they just keep it kind of separate. But I would think they would probably merge and maybe some talent might be out the door.
Rafael, I don't know if you've seen this on the Amazon Prime NBA, which we've obviously seen come to light this year because it's the first year. But during NBA games on Amazon Prime, you can link your FanDuel account and have it track your bets live while you're watching the game. Do you think that's something that ESPN might try to do with DraftKings?
I mean, if they're going to try to keep up with the Joneses, yeah. I mean, I'm sure every sports book or every company will probably do that down the road if they have a TV deal. So you'll see NFL of YouTube TV. We'll probably see that pretty soon. So I think that's going to be the new norm.
I like it. I don't know how you feel. I think I like it more. But here's the thing: where I'm at right now, it's not legal yet. I'm waiting for December 1st. So
Well,
I go
I'm going
ahead.
to play devil's advocate on that one. If because people don't realize when you place a bet, you're supposed you're supposed to declare everything with the IRS. Win, lose, draw. No, you're supposed to declare everything. So why would you want to hook up your advice? That's why I tell people never post a winning ticket on social media. Because that's just telling everyone, A, you just won big and now you have money either at home or with you or whatever. B, that's telling the IRS, hey, I just won it and I'm probably not going to claim it. So I just don't understand why people want to link their phone up to have another entity to track your bets and stuff like that. I mean, you got to be pretty much smart on how you handle it. It's like posting on Facebook, hey, I'm going on vacation for a month. Now everyone knows your house is empty for a whole month.
Well, a few takeaways there, Raphael. Now I know what you do when you're on Facebook throughout the weeks when you're scrolling through, seeing who's home and who's not. Secondly, you do make a good point though, because if I'm watching the game and my significant other sees that I hit a bet, the first thing she's gonna do is, "Hey, babe, can I use Amazon real quick?" No, you can't use Amazon real quick. But the third part of that, and what you're saying absolutely makes sense. But for the Mikey P's of the world, Raphael, I'll take a $9 win any day to pop on my TV screen because your boy here is not betting his bankroll on any slip ever. But you know what? We will have plenty of bets we can make tonight for topic number 2, Thursday night football. And I understand what the standings say. but we have seen time and time again. Thursday Night Football tonight on Amazon Prime, the Broncos and the Raiders. This is a game that could be a lot more intriguing, especially on the betting side, than what I think a lot of people are giving credit for.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's three different numbers if you shop around. There's eight, nines, and 9.5. So it all depends on who you like. If you like the Raiders, grab that 9.5. If you like Denver, grab the eight. Parts of me says, "Ooh, that's a great number, 9.5 on a Thursday night football." I'm not saying the Raiders are a good team and they're gonna maybe blow up the upset and cover, but that's just a great number, almost getting double digits on a Thursday night football game. The total also has me scratching. It's a low total. I know the Raiders can't score; they've only scored 6 points their last two road games. But wow, 42.5, 43. Last 9 Thursday night football games have gone over the total. Last week's didn't go because the Dolphins were playing. So I understand why that game didn't go over. So it would not shock me if we do see a Denver blowout. Because what did Denver just witness last week? They saw the Kansas City Chiefs lose to Buffalo. If you're Denver and you want to flex your muscles and maybe extend your lead or show the league, hey, we're still here. It's not Kansas City in the division. We're still here. I think they would want to blow out the struggling Raiders.
I absolutely agree. Now, you know what's a little disheartening? As you were talking, I was pulling up odds on BetMGM because I wanted to keep you on your toes. I wanted to keep the world on their toes. And I wanted to throw out a player who I thought may have his receiving prop listed. A player I thought after Jacoby Myers was traded, maybe this guy would get a little bit more run. And no, no. We've got two tight ends listed above this guy. We've got Tyler Lockett, 45-year-old Tyler Lockett, posted before this young kid. So it's Dante Thornton Jr., who is a speedster for the Raiders. Again, I think if his line's at 12.5, a little dump off pass for 15 yards, that cash is right there. But when you look at a game like this, where it's so one-sided on paper, does your mind or does your suggestions to the public go stay away from the game number and specifically start to target more player props?
Oh, yes. I mean, if you're looking for the Raiders, I don't think Geno Smith's going to have enough time to throw long passes. So he's going to dump off to Aston Gentry, whose receiving yards was 15.5. Now it's 19.5 at some shops. So I think those are the type of bets you want to look at. Maybe a quick tight end screen because he might be pressured right away. Maybe Geno Smith's rushing yards because he's scrambling to save his life with the Denver defense. I think those are something really good. Bo Nix, his rushing prop bets have cashed 4 out of his last 5. I think it's 22.5 right now. So even though this game may be not the best game for week 10, but there's a lot of value in it. And I think that's what happens now that we have all these player prop bets and team prop bets and game prop bets. The game may not be good, but boy, there's a lot of value if you just find the time and do some research on there. I think Denver first quarter is a really good bet when you're only laying minus 105 juice on that. So there's plenty of value. You just have to research it and find that value.
Opportunity does what? Opportunity cashes tickets, right? And
Yep.
to your point, there's an interesting name here, and as a football fan, I'm going to talk about it from a football standpoint, but I want to get it from your standpoint on the betting perspective. I look at rookie RJ Harvey of the Denver Broncos, who scored a touchdown now in his last 3 weeks. Well, as a football fan, I could be naive and go, it's obviously going to happen but this is the game of the NFL, right? This is why sports books are created. When you see somebody on a tear like that, what would you normally advise the public? To believe in the streak or go 3 in the NFL is probably as much as you're going to get?
If you're a guy like me, you played it 2 weeks in a row. Yeah, you didn't play the first week, but you played it for the second week because you saw how good he played that first game. And then it cashed, and then it cashed again. So sometimes I always tell people, trend is my friend. And so I'm going to sprinkle some, maybe not a lot, but sprinkle something just to remind you, wow, if this hits again, now he's going to go for 4 straight. Then you might want to sprinkle a little bit more going to 4 straight times because I've already cashed twice with him. So sometimes a trend can be your friend.
I like it a lot. You are listening to the Coach and Company podcast with myself, Mike Pendleton, and Rafael Esparza here. We are sitting in for the coach. By the way, over on the BTT studio side today, 5 o'clock Eastern, the coach and bro will be joined by Karrion Cross, excuse me. So you can catch that on YouTube and on social media. Also catch Off the Ropes 2 to 4 Eastern. And we will have a premium pop-up tonight right here on the Coach and Company YouTube page. By the way, Off the Ropes, Sirius XM channel 156, 2 to 4 Eastern. All right, Raphael, before we get out of here, the thing I hate the most, and I think outside of young Peyton, I'm the second youngest person on the crew. Load management. I look at yesterday's Warriors and Kings game, and 4 superstars were out for that game. No Steph Curry, actually 5. No Steph Curry, no Jimmy Butler, no Draymond Green, no Zach LaVine, no Sabonis. It's November 6th. When is the NBA going to get a hold and control of this load management situation?
They're going to get control when some of these guys take their shoes off and they're no longer playing the league. We're talking about the LeBrons. We're talking about the Kawhis. We're talking about the Butlers. The old, I hate to use the word old because I'm older than them, but the old generation in the NBA. Because I think the new guys coming in were some of those kids in the stands that maybe bought a ticket waiting to see LeBron and Kawhi play. And you know what? They didn't play for that game that they went to. So I think that's going to be stuck in their head. So I think that now when a younger crew comes into the NBA, I think the load management is going to be around, but not as around like we saw last night and years past with the Clippers and the Lakers and some of the teams that did it. The Celtics sometimes did it. The Knicks sometimes did it. I don't think we're going to see as much as we are still seeing right now until those guys hang it up. I think the younger generation coming in are going to be playing more games because they're going to realize, hey, I was that kid that my parents bought a ticket and I wanted to go see a Luka play, and he didn't play because he played yesterday, and now he's resting, and I didn't get to see my favorite player.
And that's a great point because when we hear current athletes say that, we just heard Michael Jordan say on NBC, that's why he tried to play in every single game because he thought about that dad who could only afford one game a year, who broke his back through work to be able to afford taking his kid to a game. But when we hear a player say that in today's era, we go, wow, how considerate, how amazing. No, that should be the mindset of all athletes. But I look at the other side here too, Raphael. How about this? Stop scheduling back to backs. I just, maybe that's an answer.
I don't agree because, okay, I know baseball and basketball are totally different things, but a catcher catches back-to-back games, and sometimes it's 100 degrees on the field in the summer. So I know people say, "Oh, but look at all the games the NBA play." I'll use a catcher reference in baseball. Sometimes that's even worse. Now, hockey, most goalies will take the day off on that if they're playing back-to-back. But I'm going to use the baseball reference. Catchers do it all the time. I have never heard a catcher say, "Hey, I can't play because I'm load management."
That's very true. That's a very good point. It's just one of those things where I maybe don't eliminate back-to-back games, but maybe look around the league and maybe minimize what teams you're giving back-to-backs to. I don't think the Clippers need 12 back-to-back games. Shrink it down to 6. That way you can almost as a fan go, well, if I'm going to buy a ticket here, they're probably not going to play on this day. And I think maybe that's a better thing for the NBA to look at is when are they scheduling these NBA teams and who are they scheduling for how many times a year? Do you think load management? I guess I should ask this question: does load management, or how big is the impact on the books when load management comes into play?
I usually tell people if you're betting in the NBA, there's 2 to 3 times you need to look at it. You look at it right when the number comes up and see their schedules. Are they playing on back to backs? Who's questionable? Who's not questionable? Then when you wake up in the morning, let's say 7, 8 o'clock, a number, did that number move overnight when you were sleeping? And then again, look at the injury report. Did anything happen overnight? Did that one questionable guy last night, did he change to probable or did he change to doubtful? And then it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon when practice times are over, walkthroughs are over. So there's 3 different times to look at that. And you have to do your homework. Now, if you're betting your $5 parlay and all that, people probably not going to do that homework. But if you're putting down, I would say 25 or more dollars on that, do your homework and all that. Look at, okay, what was the number at last night compared to 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm eating my lunch and I'm looking at numbers and trying to make my bet now. So it's NBA, tell people, is a lot more research now than it was before because of load management and the injuries.
Now, Raphael, for those who may just be getting their betting careers started or maybe new to NBA betting, I've got to ask because it's something I've noticed. I won't mention books, but I've noticed that like the night before, especially if there's current, let's say there's the late West Coast game going on, but every other game in the Midwest and the East Coast are already over. Sometimes you still can't get player props until the following morning. Why is it not more so? Is it because of exactly what you're talking about of following the trend and availability of all players? Like, what's the take on when we get player props dropped in the NBA?
It would not shock me if now they're just not going to release player prop bets until the next day. I mean, let's face it, the NBA's in a betting scandal right now. What's the betting scandal about? Player prop bets. So it would not shock me that down the road we see that they'll flip a switch, and at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's when we release all our player prop bets. Just eliminate the temptation of either players or friends through the night if they have a game and they go out for drinks with their friends and maybe they find out that he's not, whatever, eliminate some of the temptation. So I think that could be down the road in eliminating certain prop bets. It's just making a time frame from 10 to tip off or whatever. That's when they're going to do it.
All right, Raphael, as we wrap this up, put a bow on it, I'm going to put you on the spot for two things. First and foremost, would you rather see NBA players play throughout the full season and then who knows, maybe they're a little beat up in the playoffs? Because you're right, we have seen a lot of teams use load management, and we saw two devastating injuries during the NBA playoffs last year, even with load management. So would you rather see them grind it out?
I'll go opposite, and I'm going to throw the NFL in it. So how about play more people? How about if you're the NBA, instead of playing 8 guys, how about play 10 or 11 guys? Maybe eliminate minutes to your stars on that one. You don't know what you have on the bench. He may stink on practice, but when it's game time, he could be balling. Same thing in the NFL. I think if you add more people to the roster and play more people, if you lose an offensive alignment, defensive alignment, and you bring in this guy finally has his chance in the sun to play. Maybe he balls out because, yeah, he stinks at practice, but he's balling out when he needs to ball out. I think if you put playing more minutes on the bench, I think that can also help load management.
Well, that's a very great point, Raphael. And I know you were listening during our pre-show meeting because I just told the story of how Will Richard, the rookie for the Golden State Warriors, just made a buddy of mine a very, very nice ticket. So,
Yeah,
yeah, no, absolutely. Give these kids more run because or these veterans more run because you never
yeah,
know.
veterans too.
Yeah, you never know what they can do when given the opportunity. Lastly, Raphael, as we get out of here, Broncos, Raiders, your final score prediction.
Ooh, I have on the show team total under 16.5 Raiders. I'm going to stick with that just because I'm not sold on that offense. And last time I checked, Geno Smith is still the quarterback. For some reason, I'm smelling a blowout. I think Denver witnessed Buffalo beat Kansas City, and this is time to, let's separate ourselves on Thursday Night Football with Kansas City. It would not shock me if Denver puts up 30 plus points tonight.
Well, I'm right there with you. I could see a one-sided 30-point effort from the Denver Broncos while the Raiders struggle. Listen, when you're at 4th and goal in overtime against the Jacksonville Jaguars at the 2-yard line and you decide to go for it and it gets batted down at the line of scrimmage, that tells me everything about how your season is going for the Las Vegas Raiders. Raphael, thank you very much for everyone here on the Coaching Company podcast. Producer man, the coach who could not be here. Also, don't forget, Killer Karrion Cross is on the BTT Studio Coach and Bro Show at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, live in front of your faces. Also, the coach on Off the Ropes, Sirius XM 2 to 4 Eastern, channel 156, and then 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, right before kickoff. It's a premium papa with Raphael, myself, and the coach as we go through all the night's action and live bets. Thank you to everyone for listening. You've been watching the Coaching Company podcast.